With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Wrap Podcast, the place to catch up on all the regional and national rugby in Wales. You can find us on all the usual social media platforms and message us through there if you want, or you can email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. So all the boring stuff out the way, let's talk rugby. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Wrap Podcast with me, Lee G, and joining me this week is the one and only Jamie. Evening, James.
Good evening, how are we?
Good, mate. Just us two for now, for this evening. Carwyn's got some bullshit excuse about going and doing something cultural. And Reese is helping someone break into their own house, allegedly. So, yeah. I think Carwyn's at the Hay on Wye Festival, didn't he? Didn't he say that?
Very nice.
Yeah. Which is a bit cultural for Carwyn.
Very cultural, isn't it? Yeah. Very arty-farty for Carwyn now, isn't it?
Yeah. I think no one's told him that there's no porn section. And he's going to be very disappointed in that. So, but Reece should be joining us at some point through the proceedings this evening. So just to let everyone know, so we were planning on doing the Scarlets review this evening, but there's been so much news through this week that by the time we get through the news, there's a whole program there in the news anyway. And so the Scarlets season review isn't really going to change. We'll just do it another time. But we're going to just focus on all of the news that's been going on this week. It's been a lot of off-field stuff this week. A lot of off-field stuff. And Welsh rugby continues to deliver off the field, even when we're not playing on it. So let's start, as we always do, James, with Drink of the Week. What have you got to entertain yourself with this evening, my friend?
Well, after the Brewdog disaster of last week, I've now gone back to the beer I know and love. So, of course, it is Tiny Rebel. And you like this one, Lee. This is a Blue Raz Hard Candy Ice Sour beer.
Blue candy.
It's part of the 11th birthday range from Tiny Rebel, and it's a Blue Raz Hard Candy Ice Sour at 4%. Right? And I'll just read the description here. Fondly remembering the drinks from the 90s, bright blue raspberry candy. Well, we brought that to the party with a secret surprise at the end. Ice blasting throat chills to finish the whole thing off. Have a look at the colour of it. It looks like pond water.
Oh my, go on it.
Can you see that?
Yeah, that looks like one of those like health smoothie things, doesn't it? It's
yeah, it looks like it got fucking kale and coriander or some shit in there, doesn't it? Yeah, it's
broccoli.
Yeah, I tell you what, mind, it's very nice, but it is very sweet. It's very sweet.
Oh, yes. Well,
I like it.
I'm as far at the other end of the scale as I possibly can. So I've been saying for a while that I've been going through the Christmas cabinet for all the drinks and what have you, and I found a bottle of peach schnapps a couple of weeks ago, and well, I've opened it. I've opened it just now. I'll be honest, it's got a fair bit of lemonade in there as well. But when we talk about glass of the week as well, now my glass of the week.
Ooh, I like that.
A Malibu coconut, man. You can't get more exotic than a Malibu coconut with some little peach schnapps from the 90s.
Oh, where did you get that Malibu glass from? I like that.
That's from my local big supermarket. You get them in like a pack. You get 2 of them. It's really cool. It's really, really cool.
I want one. I actually want one. It looks great.
Well, over the weekend, nice sunny weekend and all of that kind of stuff, I shit you not, pina colada with an umbrella in there, man. I know that's proper top class stuff, that is. So, and the peach schnapps smells really peachy. And I haven't keeled over yet, so I don't think it's been like fermenting or anything in there. I think it's still, we're okay.
I do love peach schnapps, mind. I gotta say, it's really nice. I'm a big fan of that.
I think I went through a phase of like different kind, like you can get lemon schnapps and obviously peach and pear and apple, and there was like a whole range of them. And I think I reckon that's why I've got it, because it must be like the one that was left over. But yeah, let's say long time ago, mate. Long time. If I end up with some kind of poisoning tomorrow, you'll know why. It's entirely the fault of that. Right, let's start on some rugby stuff then. Where do you want to start, mate? Pick a place. And do you want to do transfers first? Should we do transfer rumours first?
Yeah, let's do some signing news. So the one signing we had confirmed in the week was Osprey signing James Ratty from Cardiff. I mean, that's been rumoured for a long time, but Osprey's confirmed it. Another really good video, by the way. Their media team are very good at this now, these signing videos, aren't they? They really are ahead of the curve. It's fair play. They're really good. Really good signing. I like James Ratty. Big blow for Cardiff. When Ospreys lost the likes of Roots and Lydia, there was some space in their back row. There was a void, and I think James Ratty's a really good signing for him. I think he'll fit in well at the Ospreys, and he's come home, isn't he? He is an Ospreys boy, so he's come full circle, and good news for the Ospreys. That's a good signing, I think.
So, position-wise, is he back row and second row? Is he flanker? Because it's a little bit vague with him sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he can play lock and he can play, across the back row, but I'd imagine he'll be playing either blindside or 8, I would guess. I can't see him going back to lock, but we know we can play this. So I guess if Ospreys are struggling in that position, we know we can fill in there. But he's just a good, versatile player to have in your squad, isn't he, James Ratty? He's hard working, and Cardiff fans, they've got a lot of good stuff to say about Ratty, and I know they were very disappointed to lose him. It's a good pickup for the Ospreys, I think. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, I mean, even losing a couple of players, Cardiff's back row cupboard is still pretty brimful, isn't it? And when you look at the, how much is Falatau on, how much is both of them going to be on because he's on an international cap? How much is Young going to be on? There's almost too much there, so some of it had to go. So, and he's probably going to get a bucket load more game time at the Ospreys than he was at Cardiff, wouldn't he? So for him, makes sense. It's a good move. It's a really good move.
It is.
So then moving out of the Ospreys, allegedly, is Thomas Francis. Allegedly. Unconfirmed. Yeah,
this was a strange one. So Midi Olympique in France, they reported that he is going to be joining Provence Rugby. And for those who aren't aware of Provence, it's probably not pronounced Provence, I know, but that's how I'm saying it. Provence Rugby. They're in Pro D2. Provence, maybe, yeah.
Provence, yeah.
Let's go with Provence then. They're in the Pro D2. They just finished 8th in the Pro D2. When I first saw this news, I gotta be honest, I was very surprised. Because you'd think bigger clubs would be circling around Thomas Francis. He is an international tight head. He's very good reputation, very good player. You just would have thought the bigger clubs in France and indeed England would be sniffing around him. But, I had no inkling he was going to sign for Provence. I mean, if it is true, it does feel like a bit of a come down. But, as I've said to a lot of people, in this current climate now, it's a very difficult climate in Welsh rugby. You have got to go where the money is. And if they're offering the big bucks and if they're offering, a lifestyle, a really good lifestyle, then you're going to go there, aren't you? And if he does go there, and good luck to him. But yeah, I was quite surprised when I saw Provence. That's not a French club I would have thought would be in the market for Thomas Francis. I thought there'd be more top 14 clubs going after him, or a couple of English Premiership clubs. But it's a bit of a strange one now, isn't it?
But then it may be, he's decided after the World Cup that he's had enough of international rugby. Some people do call it early on their international because they don't like the commitment and all of that kind of stuff. And, he may well, like you say, it may be a lifestyle thing where he just goes, do you know what, couple of seasons in a nice part of France, decent bottle of wine, the challenge maybe is not quite there, so the body might actually last a little bit longer. You don't know, do you, really? But
no, I mean, he is 31, so I still think he's got a couple of years left in him on the international stage. I mean, if he was to retire after the World Cup, then fair enough, that's his personal decision. But he's got a couple of good years left in him, and it is a blow for the Ospreys. It will be a blow. But then saying that, with the cost cutting going on and everyone having to cut their cloth, it will free up some space in the budget for the Ospreys as well. And they have got Tom Boffer, haven't they, and Rhys Henry. So,
Yeah, but like you say, I think that's so. We've had Moriarty has gone Pro D2, hadn't he? Calmafoni's going Pro D2. Wasn't there someone else that's gone Pro D2 as well?
Well, Sam Davies has been linked as well, haven't he, to Grenoble? So he could be in the Pro, but they could get promotion to the top 14. So we don't know what's happening there. But, there are a few players going to the Pro D2. Like I said, I don't blame them because, if someone comes in if that's the best offer you've got, and you're struggling to find other clubs and, the market being as it is, then I don't blame the players. I do the same. You got to go for it, haven't you? It's not a farmers league, the Pro D2. It's very competitive and it's very tough, but we'll have to see what happens with that one.
Well, when you consider, it's slightly off what we're talking about, but, London Irish in a lot of trouble as well in the Premiership. And, that may put the rumor that's going around today is that they'll be given an extension and they'll be able to make the extension and they'll be allowed to continue next year or whatever. But, they're not far off going the same way as Worcester. So you think, yes, actually some of the guys in the English Premiership must be thinking, do I stick with the English Premiership? And if I'm not going to stick with the English Premiership, where do I go?
It's very sad news about London Irish. I mean, I do hope they can survive, but it does make you think, what on earth is going on in the English Premiership? First Worcester, then Wasps, now London Irish. I mean, that'll be 3 clubs going to the wall in the space of 10 months. Something is clearly not right there. English rugby has really got to get a grip of itself.
And the 2 clubs that could potentially have been promoted to the English Premiership both won't be because of ground sizes and this, that, and the other. So, so it does kind of throw a load of questions up into the air about, if you're going to leave a Welsh region, and like you say, if you'd have been offered Exeter or whatever, having left Exeter already, would he then be thinking, are they really in that financial position that I want them to be in? It's hard to know. Yeah. It's hard to know. But there we go.
It is. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So also in transfer rumours this week, then we've got a Halfpenny going to Dragon. Now, Carwin was delighted with this whole Halfpenny going to Dragons because he thought he was winding people up when he put this out originally. But yeah, I mean, Halfpenny's been acting as a kicking coach for Welsh under-20s and Welsh women, I think it is. And I know he's been involved a little bit in the Scarlets Academy, Skills Academy side of it for a while. So it doesn't surprise me to see him make a move into coaching. He certainly got the right mentality, put it that way, to be a coach. You know, he's very methodical. He's very precise. He thinks a lot about, 5, 6, 7 options instead of option 1 and option 2 sort of a thing. So if that comes off, would you be surprised if he goes there as a coach?
I would, but I mean, when I saw the story, I thought, well, does that mean he's definitely going to retire then from rugby after the World Cup? Because it sort of implies that he is. But then when you read the article, it says he's weighing up what to do. But apparently, Di Flan has had talks with him, and there is a possibility of he coming onto the Dragons coaching team. I mean, it is important to note that coaching and backroom staff are not part of the salary cap in Wales. So he won't be he won't be taking up any space in the playing budget, which is good. He'd be a brilliant mentor for people like Will Reid, wouldn't he? And he would do good work with the academy. As you said, he's already helped, the Wales under-20s. I think he's got very good potential to become an excellent coach. So, part of me would like him to carry on for another year or two, though. International rugby, I can understand why he'd want to, knock it on the head, but I still think he's got a lot to offer, as a player. But I mean, they won't be able to afford him and Patchell, I'm guessing, if those two were available to become players. You've got to try and balance it up. But I think I don't know if he'll come off or not, but I quite like the idea of him joining the Dragons coaching staff and helping the next generation. I quite like the sound of that. But I guess we'll have to see how that goes, won't we?
But it's kind of like when Warburton called it a day. Warburton still called it a day really, really early on his career, just because his body was falling apart left, right, and centre. And I think Halfpenny may well be falling into that kind of bracket where he's just, in the back of the head is, when's my next injury? Is my next injury my last one, sort of a thing? So I think that may well be playing on his mind, that it's, when you've had the injuries that he's had and you've suffered the way he has with just, literally tie in your shoelace and your back goes, it's not a good feeling to be in when you're allegedly in the prime of life, sort of a thing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him call it early on medical grounds for that. But then saying that, we've been expecting to hear that, Foxy is calling it a day and Scott Williams is calling it a day, and that hasn't come. So, we're almost going, well, if Halfpenny's been released and Foxy isn't, what's going on with Foxy? Because they're about the same age, aren't they? They're in that same age bracket and in that same kind of best friends with the physio bracket as well. So, I think it'd be an excellent move for Dragons, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him involved again with Welsh women and with Wales 20s and under 18s or whatever.
He's got the potential to be the next Neil Jenkins, though, haven't he, Lee Halfpenny? Like, you can just see him in a few years, on the Wales coaching staff, bringing out the water and the kicking tees, like what Neil Jenkins has been doing for God knows how many years now. But, I've always been an admirer of Halfpenny. I think he's a terrific player, and he's had such wretched luck with injury, and the age he is now, like you said, it'll be a personal choice for him. But it wouldn't surprise me if he did knock it on the head. But I still would like to see him sort of continue for another year or two. But then where would he go? Where are the offers? I think like Japan would be great for someone like Halfpenny, because it's not a physical league, Japan is. It's pretty easy going. Like Shane Williams went out there, didn't he? Played a few years. It's not going to be physically demanding on his body. So maybe he could earn a quick buck in Japan. But yeah, I would like to see him at the Dragons. I would definitely. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, Halfpenny could go to Japan and play back row. He could get away with it out there, couldn't he?
He could, yeah.
He'd slot in there quite easy. So then we've got. So I forgot the guy's name, but there's a number of signings. We spoke about the guy to under-20s guy to Cardiff last week, and now the Dragons have got something similar where they're trying to sign a South African lock. So, have you seen that? What do you make of that one?
Yeah, so Steph Thomas from Wales Online said that the Dragons have made, I don't know if I got his name right, JD Shinkeling, I think. I don't know. I completely butchered that or not. I don't know. But it's a South African lock by the name of JD Shinkeling. He's currently playing in Japan. He was at Stormers for a number of years. He's a South African A international. But then the article did also say that he's been linked with big money moves in France, and he's been linked with a move to the Stormers. And I'm reading this thinking, well, if he's been linked with a move back to the Stormers and he's got these big money offers lined up in France, why on earth would you sign for the Dragons? That's the first thing that I thought. Why would you just wouldn't do that, would you?
Yeah.
But what was interesting after that article went out, and goodness me, that did froth the mouth of Cardiff fans. Oh, there was some serious piss boiling on social media. It's really easy to wind up Cardiff fans, right? Because one of the reasons you can do it, just say Cardiff Blues. They'll piss them off. Just call Cardiff the Blues. Yeah, if you want to wind up a Cardiff fan, just call them Cardiff Blues. They hate that. Second of all, any big transfer story relating to the Dragons, they are piss boiling like fuck. They are foaming at the mouth on Twitter, and it is quite funny at times. I'm not gonna lie, it is quite funny. But I was reading this thinking, do you know what? I can see why you'd be pissed off if you're a Cardiff fan. Because can you imagine if it did happen that they sign, this lock? They're not going to sign this guy, by the way. But if they did sign a South African lock, oh my days, it's going to be. So why is it okay for the Dragons to sign a South African, but we can't? But that story came out in the morning, and then in the afternoon, Chris Kerwin from the South Wales Argus, who I recommend all Dragons fans to follow because he's very good and very accurate with his Dragons news. He's the best source for Dragons news. He's saying that the Dragons are not in the market for this JD Shinkeling, but they do want a South African lock. They are looking abroad, and they didn't name the player, but he is a South African lock playing his trade in the Currie Cup. Which again, that does require the approval of the WRU. And this is where we're opening a big, big can of worms here. And I think it's going to cause a lot of conflict between the teams, because, like I said, Cardiff are going to turn around and say, well, hang on, mate, why is it okay for Dragons to sign this guy from South Africa, but we can't sign our guy from South Africa? Vice versa. Scarlets could go out and sign someone from abroad, like Osprey says, well, we tried signing someone from abroad and we've, WRU said no, so why is it okay for the Scarlets? This is opening a huge can of worms, this whole thing around the WRU's sort of insistence not for the regions not to sign foreign players. And I just think it's so silly. I think it's really, really silly. It's going to cause unnecessary conflict. It's creating a shitstorm. There's no guarantees that Dragons are going to get WRU approval for this lock that they're going after, the Currie Cup one, not the JD Shinkeling one, but he's in his early 20s, this guy, is what I was told. I wasn't given a name, but I was told he was playing Currie Cup rugby. He's like 23. So yeah, it's I really don't like how this is developing, this whole WRU clamping down on overseas players, because they can be very beneficial to Welsh rugby, as the Scarlets would testify.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But you would have thought that there would have been something in that agreement that kind of clearly stated, do you know what I mean? That if you want to sign somebody from abroad, then you need to do this, and this. And it needs to be clear and consistent, and everyone needs to know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Rather than it's a little bit shady and back room of going, well, they might get agreement for it, they might not get agreement for it, but yeah, it's all a little bit strange. So just let everyone know that Shy Boy has joined us. Evening, Reese. How are we?
Evening, lads. How's it going? Apologies for my lateness. Just got my niece and nephew out the door.
So you weren't actually trying to break into the house then? So you were just.
But it didn't happen. So basically, my sister-in-law had to go find my brother-in-law at a pub somewhere in Thornhill, and get the key to the side door. So my niece and nephew came over my house. Well, my mother's house. So here I am after my heroics of not being able to open the door with the key because she said it sticks a bit. Could you come and have a go? So I had to go. And then my brother-in-law turns up, walks straight up to it, turns the key, it opens the door. So not sure what that says about me. But,
So are you catching up on drink of the week then? What's
yeah, I
keeping you company?
Something nice, but I got my last can of Planet Pale Ale from Brewdog. I plan to change from Brewdog soon. It's been a season of it, isn't it? Next to Jamie's Tiny Rebel, but we've got no sponsorship yet.
I can't do Brewdog. There's something about Brewdog, and I've tried so many times. I've drunk a lot of their beers. I've been to the Brewdog bar in Cardiff. It just doesn't. I just can't get on with their beers. I just don't think they're anywhere near as good or as nice as Tiny Rebel. I know that's controversial to some people, but I just can't be dealing with Brewdog.
You want to see the color of the drink that he's drinking tonight, mate? So Jamie will show you that, and you try and guess what. Try and guess what's in that.
Dishwater, for sure.
It does look like dishwater.
Jesus, that's really green. That's like a really badly made Thai green curry.
It's a Blue Raz hard candy ice sour beer.
Is that Tiny Rebel?
Yeah, it's Tiny Rebel. Yeah, Tiny Rebel.
Yeah.
What sort of range do they have?
All sorts, mate. I love the funky stuff, as you know. The wild flavors. I'm all for it. It's really nice. It is sweet, mind. I did say earlier, it's very sweet. Like I wouldn't have won, 3 or 4 cans of this stuff. I think a can is fine, but I wouldn't want any more than that really, because it's just far too sweet.
What's the strength?
Oh, it's only 4%.
This was a session.
Yeah, it's quite weak. It's quite weak. Yeah, it's nice. It looks awful, I know. It doesn't look bad, but honestly, it is really nice. Yeah.
That's in a pint on a bar. Go.
That's why they serve it in cans, mate. Yeah. So
what have I missed?
Well, we're gonna skip the whole Scarlets review for this week. We'll crack on with that next week. And we're just we've discussed all the rumours and who's moving, and we've taken the piss out of Cardiff not being able to keep older players and stuff like that. So you missed the best bit on that one. And now we're about to cover like the URC final and see how we get on with that. So,
well, I was going to talk. Sorry, just because Reese is here now. I was going to mention the story in the rugby paper about Cardiff have actually appealed that decision. The WRU have blocked their move for that South African fly half, Tinas de Beer. They have put in an appeal for it. So we'll have to see what happens if they are successful or not. But I was just saying before you came on the pod, it's really difficult now for regions to be signing overseas players. The WRU are clamping down on it. If a region signs an overseas player, they've got to prove to the WRU, they've got to make a case that it's not going to hinder the development of young players coming through. Yeah. So that's the case in Cardiff. Like the WRU are concerned it's going to block the development of, your young 10s there, like was it Harry Wild and Harrison James, I'm guessing, those kind of players. I mean, I think it's nonsense personally, but that's where we are now,
That Harrison James, he plays in the Premiership, didn't he? And development is so important, and you need somebody able to play at that sort of regional level to start with, don't you? If you throw somebody like just below that, it's not development you're doing, it's putting people out to the slaughter, I think, isn't it? Do you remember last season, was it Bigger was playing for for Northampton. I remember it was like everybody showed a video of it, and it showed him, and I think Northampton. It was before he left, and absolutely destroyed this side. And they had a really young 10, and I can't remember what side it was, but he went over to him afterwards and just like put his arm around him, and they walk off the field together, and knew they were talking tactics and things like that. And that's what you need, isn't it? Like somebody like of a bigger stature, or knows that sort of the speed of the regional game or the professional game. Because even if you're top at Premiership, it doesn't quite translate into the regional level, does it?
I would say that there is a question mark though over De Beer about this guy's quality. Because I looked up his sort of career stats, and I think he only played 7 times for the actual Bulls team in the Super Rugby. He's been mainly playing Currie Cup. We don't really know if he's going to add any significant quality to that Cardiff side. But then on the other hand, Cardiff are absolutely desperate for fly half. They're skint. Yeah. They can't afford to go out and sign a quality fly half. If that was the case, they would be bringing Rhys Patchell back, but they can't afford him, and they can't go out, and look abroad for, really world-class 10s, mainly because they can't afford him, because the WRU probably say no anyway. But it's, I think a bit of common sense needs to be applied to the WRU. Need to look at Cardiff and say, right, okay, we know you're in a difficult position. There's a lot of stuff going on at Cardiff, particularly off the field. They're a bit of a mess at the moment. So let's have a bit of compassion and understanding, and, just let this deal happen. What's the worst that could happen? Okay, you sign him, he's no good, fine, you get rid of him after a year or two,
But Currie Cup is a decent standard, I was just talking about like coming from the Premiership to regional. Currie Cup is a lot higher standard and level of rugby, isn't it, than what we can provide from the Premiership.
Absolutely. And we were saying as well before you come on that, it's going to cause some conflict between the regions, because the Dragons are looking for a lock overseas. The actual lock they want. South African, isn't it? Yeah, but the guy they were linked to, they don't actually want him. Chris Kerwin said that there's a player playing this in the Currie Cup. He's in his early 20s. I was told he's like a 23-year-old. So what's the difference then between Dragons going for him? Yes, a guy that plays in the Currie Cup, because he's going to be relatively unknown, I'm guessing, to what Cardiff could try and sign. And if Dragons are allowed to sign this guy from the Currie Cup, then it's going to cause a shitstorm, isn't it? Because you're just going to have Cardiff say, "Well, hang on, what's the difference?"
Yeah, one rule for one rule for another. Yeah, that does smack me off, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's going to cause big problems within the game. When we're trying to bring everyone together and try and have some harmony in Welsh rugby, it seems to me like the WRU just trying to divide everyone again, with one rule for one and another rule for another. And as a Dragons fan, it makes me uncomfortable still being owned by the WRU. The sooner we go into private ownership, the better. They've got till July to get that sorted. And let's hope that happens sooner or later. But it's an uncomfortable situation. I don't like it at all. I just think WRU should just let the regions just try and sign the overseas players they need to in the areas that they need to fill the gap. It's
come on sense, isn't it? Come on now, Jane. It's Cardiff. There's a little bit of you going, yeah, fuck off.
Part of me thinks, don't get me wrong, part of me thinks, fuck them. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But, I'm trying to be balanced on this podcast, isn't I? I'm trying to be balanced.
I was shocked all the way through that whole monologue. And I was looking for a smirk, but I couldn't see.
Well, you beat us every year, so honest.
You are, Jamie. What's that?
I was liking a bit in my head when you said Cardiff are appealing. I'm going, please let it happen. Please, can we have him?
Not far off.
Yeah. Oh, go on. We'll be good.
So, it's a crap situation, in fairness, isn't it? It is pretty shitty.
It is all right.
So,
it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's have a chat about the URC final, because it was. I'll be honest, I didn't watch it because fucking Viaplay and all of that kind of stuff pisses me off. So I was in the garden doing some gardening, and then I tried to watch the highlights, and I couldn't watch the highlights either. I just fucking gave up with Viaplay. So I'm not sticking with Viaplay anymore. And if it means I miss a load of games, they're crap. But you would have thought that it would have been on S4C or something. It's the final. It should have been on proper telly somewhere. So, what did you make of it? Did you watch it, Reese?
I've seen the highlights myself, but I didn't watch the game myself. But what I thought, what was sprung to mind was after beating Munster early on in the season, I said to my friend, a Munster supporter, big shout out to Tony. I said, "Hey, what about that?" And then the Dragons had him as well. He said, "You're not going to have a very good season." He said, "Let's see where we are at the end of the season." And he was the first one to text me after the match.
Well, Munster started the season shocking. Yeah, they were shocking.
We were talking about it on the pod, weren't we? We were all talking about how they were sort of restructuring, and that Leinster were, still on song and what have you. And it was, they were going to have a difficult season, but they just got better and better throughout the season. The Irish sides.
So, what did you make of it, Jane? Did you watch all of it, or just the highlights?
I did. I had a really good day Saturday. Just spent in front of the telly. I watched the Premiership final first. That was all right. That wasn't bad. But I enjoyed this URC final. I thought it was terrific. And you know what? Fair fucks to Munster, because they were absolutely fantastic. And I did not see that result coming. I honestly didn't. They completely dominated our first half. Yeah, it was in Cape Town. They completely dominated our first half. And it was only, 7-12. And I'm thinking, I don't know if that's going to be enough for Munster, because they did have a couple of tries disallowed as well, mind. They were all over the Stormers, and Stormers took an early lead. There was an intercept try. And you're thinking, this could be, a difficult evening for Munster. But from there on in, it was total domination. It was total domination by Munster. They were absolutely brilliant. And what happened was, once they scored that try, the crowd sort of simmered down a bit. And then the Stormers were making lots of mistakes. You could see the players were getting a little bit nervy, and the atmosphere was turning. But yeah, in half time, it was 12-7. I was thinking, I think Munster, they needed another score there going into half time, just ease a bit of pressure. And you knew the Stormers were going to come back second half. And to be fair, they did, but they weren't very good, the Stormers. They just made so many errors. But I don't want to take anything away from Munster. I thought they were brilliant, Tagburn, Keith Hills, how that guy keeps going, I don't know. Limerick and all that. I just thought they were brilliant. They were well deserved their win. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. But one thing I will say, that pitch, that was an absolute disgrace. For a grand final, the state of that pitch. And apparently they've had a lot of events on the pitch, like a lot of concerts. I even read they had bloody monster trucks on there.
What?
Yeah, they had monster trucks on there. Like, this was like a few days before the final, or maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know. I read so. Yeah, monster trucks. This is ridiculous. But it was a dreadful pitch. But that suited Munster, because it would be a flat, hard, dry surface.
Cut up by rain.
Yeah, they'd have loved it. But it was cutting up like crazy. And Munster were brilliant. And what a job Graham Rowntree has done. It's funny, isn't it? We talked about Munster at the beginning of the season. They lose to Cardiff. And then they send a full strength squad then down to Rodney Parade. We beat them. And they had a shitload of criticism from Irish media and fans. And people starting to question Graham Rowntree. And, they won the URC the hard way, mind. They had to go on the road 6 times in the build-up to the final. They had 6 away games, and they had to go to places like Glasgow. Then they went to Dublin. And then, so it hasn't been an easy route for them at all. They spent most of it on the road. And, fair play to them. Brilliant scenes at the end as well. And Munster are not one of my favourite Irish teams, I will admit, but you got to give credit where it's due. I thought they were fantastic, well deserved.
But didn't they also play South Africa? Like, Munster played South Africa and beat South Africa just before, as like part of South Africa warm up for the autumn internationals.
That might have been like South Africa A or something, was it?
I know, I'm sure it was massive, because they were like, this is on the level of, Scarlets or Shettley and New Zealand and all of that kind of stuff. And it was a big deal. And it kind of passed us by over here, because it was like a midweek match and we were in the middle of tearing ourselves another arsehole to shit out of. And they kind of just snuck away with that. So,
Yeah, it was in November, that was, and it was South Africa A. They won 28-14. I mean, I think the South Africa A team was pretty decent, mind. It wasn't shabby by any means, but it was a South Africa A touring game. But
not a bad first season for Rowntree then, It's
English coaches seem to do okay in Irish rugby, don't they? Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Well, Leinster have lost Lancaster now, haven't they? So
Yeah.
he's off to France. So that's the first time really that Leinster have, I think that's the second season that Leinster have not won anything. And now it's starting to kind of not unravel because it's still fucking awesome. But do you know what I mean? On the expectation levels that Leinster have.
That weight of expectation is huge over there, isn't it? They're like,
Yeah.
like what we just said now is starting to unravel after the season they've had, like, isn't it? Like getting to the final and Jesus Christ, yeah.
But what I would say, mind, I think that's less Leinster's own doing, mind, that is, because let's not forget, they put out, I don't want to say weakened teams, we know it's not weakened, but it wasn't their full strength team when they played Munster in the semi-final. That backfired. And then they went into the Heineken Cup final. They were, what was the score? Like 17-0 up after 20 minutes, something like that. They completely dominated that first half. And then La Rochelle came back into it. So they wasted two big opportunities there. And I think what Munster's win shows you is it's not actually how you start the season, it's how you finish it, because Leinster dominated the URC, didn't they? They are in the league period, they absolutely dominated it. But when it came to knockout rugby, the crunch, you know, I'm going to use my favorite saying, they shit the bed, unfortunately.
Well, I was going to bring this up. Now, when we were talking about about Leinster throwing that lead away, somebody said somewhere, and I can't remember who, and they said Leinster have shit on their toothbrush. Now, and I went, I'm bringing that one to Jamie, because that's a whole new level up from
I've not heard that one before.
That's horrible.
It's not a nice analogy, is it?
Well, shit in the bed's not a great one, Jay, let's be honest.
Yeah, but the thought of it being on a toothbrush and going in your mouth, I mean, no, I don't like that analogy. I prefer shit in the bed.
Well, as soon as I heard it, and it was like a throwaway comment, and my wife wasn't even listening, and I was like, "Oh, I'm having that one for Jamie," and she's like, "What's happened? What's happened? What's happened?" Oh, you shit the toothbrush. And she's like, "What?"
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
The best game I've seen for years.
It was great.
It just had everything. My grandfather watched it. He used to watch rugby all the time, but he watches all sorts of sports now and stuff like that. And he forgot it was on. I told him, it started this time. He's 94 years of age. And he's still talking about it weeks later. And he's about how, especially the La Rochelle props. Yeah, the size of them, like it. But what a game, man! What an absolute game.
With the URC final, though, special shout out to those travelling Munster fans. 5,000. That is some effort. Is there another club in Europe that has better travelling support than Munster? Because I don't think there is, personally. I really don't. They travel like hell, don't they? Eh?
How do Leinster get on?
Well, yeah, I mean, and they bring significant support, but I think Munster, I mean, talk about the Red Army, they do travel in very high numbers, don't they? I mean, 5,000 in South Africa. Would Leinster have brought 5,000 fans to South Africa? I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure. But what a brilliant weekend for them. It was a great game. And like you said, Lee, I think it should have been on free to air. It would have been if the Welsh side made it, no doubt about that. But would it have harmed being on S4C or BBC Wales? It was such a good game and a really good occasion. It should have been on free to air. But well done, Munster. Brilliant for winning the brilliant final. Full credit to him. Graham Roundtree and the team have done exceptional.
Well, while we're talking about actual rugby, we'll talk about the WRU Chair in a second. But let's talk about the Barbarians game on Sunday then.
Great.
So
that was good as well, wasn't it? I enjoyed that.
Oh, that was so much fun. That was like watching rugby back in the day, wasn't it? Like, just like no defense. Saying that, there were some big hits going in, and there were some dodgy hits going in as well, which is unusual, isn't it? Like some no-arm hits. I remember one. I can't remember on hit on Hastings before he put a chip in, and the guy on the cameras contacted the ref, and he says, "Oh, I'll just have a word with him." Like, and like I think we replayed it. He said, and the commentator, he might be in trouble for this because he just went in, boom, like that. Like, without any
Did you see Wyn Jones getting completely flattened by Stephen Lutua? fucking hell, and you could see it coming. Like even Blackman on commentary saying you could see it coming. You knew it was happening.
Yeah.
He had him good, and he nailed him good and proper. Liverpool, yeah. It was a really entertaining game. I loved it. Forward passes, were just ignored. They were just ignored, weren't they? I mean, somebody knocked it on over the line, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they were like, "Nah, it's okay. Just carry on and play." No, it wasn't Folau. It was someone else. It was them. I can't remember the name of the player, but Alan Wynne-Jones did an offload off the ground. And he went on. He didn't ground it. He knocked it on over the line, but the officials were like, "Yeah, that's fine," because it's only an exhibition game, isn't it? It's not to be taken seriously. But the Welsh boys. The Welsh boys did really well at that, mind. All the Welsh boys did well. I thought Gareth Anscombe was outstanding. Gareth Anscombe. Did you see that one try he scored?
Was that the one with the short pass where he hit the angle?
Yeah, he just cut through. Yeah, it was really, really good. Anscombe was brilliant. Rhys Patshaw, really impressive. He came off earlier than expected for the World 15, and he put some really nice passes and cutting some really nice lines. And Flatman was and Rupert Cox, the commentators, was saying about how good Patrick was, and he shouldn't have trouble finding a club. I'm thinking, you signed for Dragons, but don't say anything like that. Well, let's hope so. I don't actually know if that's official yet, but it was good. Wainwright worked hard, Elliot, all the Welsh, and Alan Wynne-Jones was brilliant as well. His offloads were fantastic. His goal kicking is shit. We know that. I mean,
apparently he was practicing. He was practicing all of last week. And
still
I reckon he's just doing that to make us all feel better, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's slotting them over from everywhere in practice. But when they were doing the thunderclaps at the end, I was getting emotional. I was tearing up watching it.
But I think you need you need to watch a game like that every now and again, just to kind of remind yourself of what it could be like, And then when you go and you watch like the competitive stuff, and it's so intense, the hits are so hard, and you're just like, can't we just throw the ball about a bit? Can't we just let it go a little and have a little bit of that fun side of it? But it's good to know that we can still play that kind of rugby, and we need to.
I don't know if you guys remember a few years ago, there was a big debate, wasn't it, about the Barbars, whether they were still relevant in rugby. There was all this talk about should they still continue and all this, is there room in the international calendar? For me, there definitely is still room for the Barbars, because they put a smile on your face. It was a daft, entertaining game. I loved it. And, rugby could be so, sterile sometimes. It can be so rigid and boring and structured. And when it's just loose and people are chucking the ball, it's just good fun. I really enjoyed it. That's a game I would have liked to have gone to, actually. I'd have liked to have gone to that.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed it.
They often have them at Twickenham, don't they? The games like that.
Yes.
Shame they don't bring it to the Principality. Like it's just like outrageous dummies and like massive sidesteps and everybody just chucking the ball around where there doesn't seem to be anything on. Like that's what I loved about it.
Yeah, how good though was Semi Wadrada?
That game was particularly good. Like for that.
Yeah, Semi Wadrada was brilliant. Oh, he was so good, wasn't he? I was thinking to myself, it don't matter who wins this, he's got to be man of the match. Because he was absolutely brilliant. And I'm sat there watching him tear it up, and I'm thinking, Wales got Fiji in the group stages. It was making me nervous because he caused us a lot of problems, mind, in the 2019. I mean, that's how he sort of made his name, wasn't it, Wadrada? Like, he came into it with a good reputation, but his World Cup appearances, that's what led to Bristol making that move. And, he became more of a household name. But we're in for a tough ride against Fiji, I tell you that now. In the World Cup.
For sure, yeah.
Who's got Tonga in their group? Because
I'm not sure. I'll have to check.
I think Scotland are playing Tonga, and Tonga have had like about 9 New Zealanders come back from with the new international rules and all of that kind of stuff.
Well, I was in from Australia, isn't he, for Tonga?
So Tonga have got South Africa, Ireland, Scotland, and Romania in their pool. I mean, that's a nasty pool. Paris is there, poor Scotland. I can't see them getting out of that one. I really can't.
But Tonga are fucking bulked up, like in a big, hefty way. And you go, that rule change has really benefited South Sea Island teams. And, they've always been enjoyable to watch. And now you're a bit like, fuck, I don't want to play them. They're quite good. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see the effect that those players have on the World Cup when we get there eventually.
Yeah.
Right. So talking of boring and stale and all of that kind of stuff, rugby, let's talk about the WRU Chair. So there was an article out, was online in midweek, and they said they've got the shortlist. Well, they kind of said they had the shortlist. They haven't actually confirmed it. They said Nigel Walker, David Buttress, Steve Dalton, Andy Marinus, and they said a person of interest is Derry Watkins as well. So what do you guys make of that list, and who would you rule in and who would you rule out straight away?
There's a lot of people who's been around for years, isn't it? Like Marinus has been there or thereabouts and involved in the Welsh game, isn't he? So he's been away for a long time, wasn't he?
Well, he's done really well in Australia. He's basically saved Australian rugby, and that's when they announced that they were looking for a WRU chair. He quit Australian rugby unexpectedly, and everyone put 2 and 2 together and came up with 48. But yeah, he's definitely in the running, and I didn't realise he's a Welsh international. I just thought he played.
Yeah, played centre.
He
did.
Yeah, I didn't think he made international level. I don't remember him at international level, but yeah. So what? Let's go down the list then. Nigel Walker.
He would be the least popular choice, wouldn't he? I don't think that would go down well with a lot of supporters if Nigel Walker was given the job on a permanent basis. And I don't know what you guys make of Nigel Walker. I think he's done some good things, in particular with the women's game. And I think he has done some good things with Ieuan Evans, who's sort of trying to clean up the image of the WRU after the whole sexism, misogyny. I thought they had a very difficult task on their hands. Is he the right man for the job long term? I'm just not sure. I don't think he's popular enough to be given that job full time. I don't know what you guys think, but I don't think that would go down well with the Welsh rugby public if he was given the job.
I think basis. Because of the bitterness of the year we've just gone through as well, especially around contracts and the absolute farcical impacts that has had on individuals and their families and things like that. That's part of the issue, isn't it? Even though he's done marvellous for the women's game, he brought through that deal. He got the clubs to agree, didn't he? Past the whatever percentage needed and things like that. But I think that's what tarnishes him now, isn't it? It's the fact that we've gone through this and people are bitter now, isn't it? And rightly so, and angry.
I don't think he helped himself with that. I don't think he helped himself with that holding Regent's feet to the fire. That comment he made during the England game about getting these, this agreement signed. I thought that was very poor from Nigel to say that, and that just only created more conflict and more hassle to say that. I thought that was really dumb from a smart guy to come out with a comment like that.
But he has got a really good background. When he was with Welsh Athletics, he did a lot for Welsh Athletics, changed the structure, looked at it from bottom up and all of that kind of stuff. He's done a lot of work in media, so he's got an understanding of some of the bigger pictures when it comes to media deals and all of that kind of stuff. And I think he's probably any other time he would have been a safe pair of hands. But like you say, I think if he walks away now and then comes back in 5 years' time, and that'll probably be his best kind of option, if you know what I mean. Just like you say, let everyone get a bit of distance between what we've been through in the last 12 months and some of the personalities. I kind of feel sorry for Ieuan Evans in a way, because he's always wanted to be chair. He's always wanted to be the head, and he's always had a clear direction. And it's like, right, okay, by the way, there's a whole load of shit going on, and your job is to make yourself redundant, and somebody has to come in. So I think they're both quite decent people, but I do think we need a separation from what's gone on and the personalities now. So that's why I think some of the other people, Steve Dalton coming from football, he's done a lot for FAW and what have you. But I think having somebody external, a bit like Warren Gatland, where, and this has always been the way in Welsh rugby, as soon as you promote somebody from inside, then you've got everybody else going, he's only putting him on the pitch because, he played for him at Swansea or Scarlets or Cardiff or whatever. Promoting an internal Welsh coach up to senior level hasn't been successful for like 20 odd years. Bringing somebody else in from outside, doing exactly the same thing, has been successful. And I think that's probably what we need to do now with the chair.
Yeah.
So
that would be a good shout, because someone coming in with fresh eyes outside of the Welsh sort of bubble, Welsh rugby bubble, can come in with a fresh perspective, and that might be a good thing. And he did play a key part in the modernisation of the FAW, so that would be a good shout. I don't know a lot about him, but he is highly respected. And like you said, maybe someone coming from the outside might not be a bad thing, actually.
Yeah. But what I know of Steve Dalton is, he understood, and he made a massive effort to connect the players and the clubs to the supporters. And there was a big emphasis on, there were times where Welsh football could have taken the money and gone with Sky contracts and this, that, the other. And they were like, no, we need to connect with the supporters and we need to fill the stadiums, so we're going to stay on the BBC. And there was a clear purpose to what he was doing, and a long range kind of strategic kind of idea. So I quite liked him from that. But then, you still need to, I'm assuming he's got an understanding of the rugby kind of setup.
I really like Noel Mooney, who's the current FAW CEO, and he's really bought in to the Welsh culture, and he just gets it now. Like, he's an Irishman, but he's come in and he's turned the FAW around. He's played a big part in the resurgence of Welsh football, and he completely gets it. And I think he'd be really good for the WRU. I know he's not a candidate, but I think they could do with someone like him as well.
So what about then friend of the pod, Senor Buttress? Well,
he's ruled himself out, doesn't he? So he was mentioned in the piece, and the piece did say that even though he's involved with the buyout of the Dragons, that it wouldn't affect him going for that job. I find that hard to believe. I can't see how that wouldn't have any impact. I mean, can you imagine if he did get a role? He doesn't want it, by the way, but if he did, and he's part of the Dragons, that's going to be a conflict of interest, isn't it? To be still part of the Dragons, you're supposed to be independent, supposed to be neutral to all four teams. I know it's a bit ironic me talking about conflict of interest when the Dragons are currently owned by the WRU, but you get my point, don't you? I can't see how that wouldn't have any adverse effect. When you're part of the Dragons and running that and trying to be WRU CEO, it just wouldn't work for me.
And he's advocating them going private as well, isn't he? He wants to. He's got plans for the Dragons, isn't he? He wants to.
Yes, he's part of the consortium. Yeah. He's heading up the consortium.
He's very passionate about taking that forward, isn't he?
Yeah. So Dan Pearce from Cardiff Rugby Life, he put out a similar tweet to me about it. He said, difficult to see how Buttress takes the Dragons into private ownership while being CEO with the Welsh Rugby Union. And Buttress replied, and he said, "Ha, you lot make me laugh. Very flattering to be included in the list, but definitely not for me." So that's him being ruled out. And I did try and find out, I got someone at the Dragons who I'm quite close to, he gives me some good info. And they said, have you seen this? And he said, we straight away, Buttress won't want that. He said, you haven't got the time for it. I said, yeah, but try and find out, because, they're strongly tipping him here to do this job. And then he come back to me, he said, no chance. And then, Buttress came out on social media and basically debunked it. So we can rule out David Buttress, and quite right too, because he's got unfinished business at the Dragons. We've been as supporters, we've been hearing for the past 2 years about how we're going to go into private. It's close, it's happening. We're committed. It still hasn't happened. Now we got until July. The clock is ticking. I know we're in May, so there's not a lot of time left, and I'm really anxious that I want to see this deal done. And if Buttress walks away from the Dragons, I think that spells bad news for the Dragons and the future of the club. So he needs to get done what he said he was going to do. So yeah, I think it's better he stays at the Dragons.
So what happens if you get to July and no deal is signed?
Everybody's asking this question, and the honest answer is I don't know. I don't know. I don't know whether the Dragons just go bust or whether the WRU would just extend it for another month if there was some sort of issue. But from what I'm hearing, it's all in hand. Like the Dragons are good to go. They've got a consortium already. It's all fine. It's a couple of businessmen from outside of Wales coming into it as well. But yeah, it's just with the WRU, everything is delay, isn't it? So yeah, sooner that gets done, the better, because it's really started to annoy me, because I've been hearing now for the past 2 years, but all supporters have, about how close we are and it's going to get done. And, you know, if Budris does it, then great. But if he doesn't do this, if he doesn't say what he's going to do, then for me, he's failed. He's failed as a Dragons, you know, chair. If he can't get us into private ownership, like he said he could. He doesn't have to do it. I know he could easily walk away from Welsh Rugby and no one would blame him, because Welsh Rugby is a shit show, isn't it? And he wouldn't, you know, you couldn't blame the guy if he just went, you know what, I'm just going to concentrate on other business interests now. Because he's a very busy man, like Budris. He's got other businesses going on, mind. It's not just Dragons. He's got other venture companies and stuff. He's a very busy guy with got fingers in a lot of pies. So he could easily just go, fuck this, I don't want the arsenal of Welsh Rugby. It's a mess in the Dragons, but fair play to him. But he's got to get it done now. You know, if you promise something, you've got to get it done. You've got to see it through to the end, haven't you?
So what do you make of Andy Marinos then? If he does come back home, what would you make of him as a?
What is he? How has he conducted himself in Australian rugby? What has he done there? You were saying
very well. He's literally turned the Australian Rugby Union around, mate. It was on his ass financially. Yeah. He's a very, very good administrator. Don't forget, before that, he was chief of SANSA. Which was the South African, New Zealand sort of rugby board, the Super Rugby Board. He was chief exec there for a few years. Very experienced rugby administrator, very respected. Like I said, turned around the ARU financially and competency as well. I think he's the strongest candidate actually on the list, and he is available. So if I was the WRU, I'd be going for him.
Welsh rugby from a player's point of view, a club point of view, and an administrative point of view. Because when he was going regional, he was in the rooms, as I recall, with people there. So where he started his sort of administrative world.
What do you think, Andy?
I think, I same as you. I think he's the strongest candidate there. I think he's got an internal connection and he's got the external view. The thing that I hope that is he doesn't just come in and go, oh great, yeah, I've got the job. I hope before, if he's offered the job, he goes, right, okay, if we're going to do this, we do this on my terms, and this is the way it's going to be. Do you know what I mean? Not coming in and going, okay, we've got somebody coming in to keep going with the same things that we've been doing. We need somebody to come in and to make a break and to say, right, hang on, we're going to do things differently now. And for me, and I've said this all along, we've got too many pieces that are all in different places and in different jigsaws, and everything from under-7 club rugby, school rugby, college rugby, university rugby, women's rugby, they're all going off in different places. And we need somebody to come in and say, right, here's the vision. This is how your bit fits into this. And for the next 5 years, I want you lot doing this. And I want you lot doing that. And I want you lot doing this. And you do that. And this is what I'll do. And together, we'll make Welsh Rugby successful. And I think that's the bit. Whoever comes in needs to stamp that authority on it and just go, right, okay. And to give us some belief in this is going to work. This is what we're going to do. This is why it's going to be better. This is the benefit to you. This is a benefit to the club. This is
selling
why.
The wine, isn't it? Selling the wine. All the disparate parts of Welsh rugby. That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're just having an injection of belief that I say I don't think would come with somebody internal like Nigel Walker or even Buttress. As good as Buttress would be, he would still come with that you're a Dragons person. Do you know what I mean? That baggage would still be there. Nigel Walker is a Cardiff player. You know, it still comes with that, and that's why I think Marinos he has got that separation, even though he has played. You know, he's still got enough separation to be not regarded as a Newport player. You know, it's not Jason Tubby. He's not going to come in. If Tubby got thrown in there, everyone would go, well, everything's just going to go to the Dragons because Tubby loves the Dragons. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it needs to be that, and I think Marinos probably ticks more boxes for me than everybody else.
Look, whoever gets it, they can't be as bad as Steve Phillips, because that man was an absolute disaster, and we can't have another Steve Phillips. We can't.
Well, terminal decline already. Like if somebody like that comes in again, it'll be the death knell. It's that desperate these days, isn't
it? The other name that was on the list that was a person of interest that was apparently has been offered the job before and turned it down.
Who could blame him?
is Derry Watkins, who is president of Mars in Europe. Mars, the food confectionery, not the planet. So, which again, so he is one that got no real understanding of who they are or what they do or any of that kind of stuff. So that one would genuinely be completely left field, completely fresh, completely new.
Yeah, which may be a good thing. But I think, you know, whoever gets this job, they've got a hugely difficult task on their hands, haven't they? The way the Welsh rugby is. You know, I don't envy this person at all. I might envy their pay packet, but I do not envy the job that they're going to be taking on, because Welsh rugby is just heading for a massive shitstorm, I'm afraid. You know,
I see the point of bringing in the outsider, and I agree with that. And I think Marinos, I agree with you, is the best option. But I don't see the point in bringing in somebody without sort of like at least sports administration, like business people. Yes, you know, we were saying we need that sort of professionalism in the game, but we also need somebody that understands the culture. When you mentioned the FAW guy, you said he came in and understood the culture and understood what needs to happen with this, not Irish football, but with Welsh football, you know, and all the differences that brought with it. So we need somebody that understands that from a Welsh rugby perspective, don't we? That there's, you know,
absolutely,
all those different parts that move on their own, you know.
Or someone who understands the politics. Because that's what Welsh rugby is, I'm afraid, it's politics. Because the regions don't like the WRU, the WRU don't like the regions don't like each other. You know, there's a lot of, you know, drip feeding of information out there coming from all different places, and I don't like it one bit. You know, it's not working together. That's not unity, and that's what Welsh rugby needs. It needs unity from top to bottom.
But then this is where the guy from the FAW, well, the current guy, the Irish guy, there was an event going on, and I can't remember what it was, but there were like 6 of the WRU board all there to meet the Queen. Yeah. And it was all about, oh yes, Your Majesty, and all this kind of stuff. The FAW, nowhere to be seen. And it wasn't a rugby thing, it was like a Cardiff thing. FAW, nowhere to be seen. The FAW were away doing a supporters' day. Yeah, the FAW were kind of, they had like, I think they were up in mid Wales or something, and they had the Welsh team training there, and they were training with kids, and they were training with, you know, college kids and all of this kind of stuff. And there were thousands there, all watching the team play and interacting with the team. And it was the same day, and you're just thinking, which one of those two is connecting with the fans? Yeah, where you've got 6 of the guys in charge sitting there, ass kissing the Queen, who's not, you know, not a big rugby fan when she was alive, or you've got, you know, a whole load of people entertaining thousands of kids that are going to stay there and cheer for that team for the next 10, 15 years.
They just get it though, don't they, the FAW? And I think the thing is, there is, I'm going a bit political now, I know, but there is a strong Welsh independence movement within Welsh football. And the FAW, they realise that and they tap into it and they completely get, whereas the WRU, it's very much not like that. I say, we got the three feathers, which does annoy a lot of people, and that's a debate to have. We got William, Prince of Wales, who's not Welsh, he's English, and it's like he's supporting the England football team and he's meeting them, and it's like, hang on a minute, mate. They're so closely aligned to like Britain and the Royals, whereas Welsh football has never been about that. And the FAW completely understood the culture. They understood that and they bought into it. And I think that's why they're successful. They've just tapped into that culture and they do understand the fans' feelings around that. And that's what's made it successful as well. Noel Mooney has been very good about that, actually. He gets it big time.
Well, like we say, it's a big job for whoever gets it. I didn't see my name on the list, I'll be honest. I think they must have missed it off.
I ruled myself out. I haven't got time for it.
I've got a garden you should see the amount of work I need.
We're all fathers.
So let's finish off then with a couple of random rugby rumours from this. The worst rugby rumour this week was Carwyn saying that Halfpenny's going to the Dragons, and that turned out to be true. And then, so Carwyn thinks he's like some kind of mystic Meg reincarnated now.
He's really proud of himself with that, isn't he? He's really happy about that. I can tell.
And I can see by your face, Jamie, you're not happy about that.
Well, when I saw the article, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, he is not going to shut up about this now on the pod. I was like, see, I called it. And, I mean, it was better than this other one, because I don't know if you saw the other one he put onto it. He said, Semi Radranda's going to the Ospreys, which would have worked a lot better had it not been for the fact that Semi Radranda signed for Leon bloody months ago. So that was never going to work.
I don't think he understood what we were trying to do, where we were just going to make up total bullshit bollocks ones. And my favourite one came from Alwyn Jones on Sunday. So turning out with his Bonamine socks on, red and black.
Yeah.
And within minutes, people are going like, red and black, those are Toulon socks. Those are. Alwyn Jones is signing for Toulon. And so Squidge Rugby's going, no, he's from Bonamine. They've said on the telly he's from Bonamine. Those are Bonamine socks. No. That's Toulon. He's going. So it doesn't matter how much common sense. It's much more fun to just go, he's off to.
I like it to be slightly believable, though. Like we could make it up, but it has got to be slightly believable as well. That it could happen. Like the Lee Halfpenny kicky one that you think actually that could happen. It looks like it is going to happen. But we'll see on that one.
Well, we shall. We'll keep pumping them out, gents. One of these days, Wales Online is going to pick up on one of our rugby rumours and go with it and say, right, we've heard on the grapevine that Owen Robbins is being drafted in to take over from Dai Young.
How good would that be? Oh, I'd love that.
And outside half of Cardiff,
signing all Pontypridd players for that. The coach just picking all Pontypridd players like
from the 90s.
Right. On that note, then, gents, I think we're done for this evening, and very pleasant it has been too. So, providing there's not another avalanche of Welsh rugby news next week, we'll have a crack at doing the Scarlets season review. Carwyn will be delighted because he should be here for that next week if he hasn't been arrested at the Hay on Wye Festival. So with that in mind, gents, we shall we'll knock it on the head there and enjoy your rugby. Have a good week.
Nice one, lads.
This one, thank you very much.
This one.
Bye.
Gents. Thank you for listening to the Wrap Podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed recording it. Please do rate us and tell your friends, as it really helps us to grow and get better. We'll be back next week with more of the same, and until then, enjoy your rugby.
Social Podcast Network.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.